Hi everyone. In this video, we're going to see basics of JavaScript scripting, the various important syntaxes and basic things which are required for writing a script or a program. In our last video, we have seen where to write script and how does it work, right? For example, we have seen that JavaScript can be written in the head section, in the body section of HTML document, or we can point an external JS file in our HTML document, right? And JavaScript is written inside the script tag, as you can see over here. Currently, I have written my script tag inside my body section, and I have given an alert, and that alert is consisting of hello everyone. And what does this alert does is actually give a pop-up on your browser window. So for example, if I save it and if I go and check my browser window, so how does it look? It will look something like this. It will give me a pop-up saying hello everyone, right? So this is what I have told the JavaScript to do. Okay, I've given a set of instructions over here, and I have told that you have to perform in this way, that you have to give me a pop-up. So for example, what a program means is nothing but a program is nothing but a set of instructions or set of tasks which has been written, and it is given to the computer to perform those tasks, and then computer performs that particular task and gives us the output, right? Now for example, if I have to explain you in a real world example, then that will be suppose I want a book which is a little bit far away from me, and a person is standing in between me and that book. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask that person beside me or to help me giving that book, right? So what I'll do is I'll ask that person that, hello, please can you give me that book? Okay, please can you pick up that book and give it to me, right? And that person will do accordingly. So what I've done over here is I have given a set of instructions to that person to perform a task, and the task is picking up that book and giving it to me, and the person do accordingly. So in the same way here it works. So what we are doing is we are giving some instructions and set of tasks which we want to which we want to get performed to the computer, and then your computer perform it accordingly. So whatever you write in your JavaScript or in your software or in your program is actually a set of instructions. So whatever you write in your program is actually a set of instructions or tasks which has to be performed by the computer, right? So for example, we have seen that alert hello everyone is also one instructions which we are giving to the computer, to the browser, and then it gives us a pop-up, right? Similar to this, we can give various tasks and instructions. Now, to write these instructions and to perform this task, there are some sort of syntaxes and some sort of predefined keywords in your programming languages or in your scripting languages. And JavaScript also have its own set of keywords and syntaxes to write this task or these instructions. So here, the very first thing comes is variable. So in a language, in JavaScript, variable means is nothing but a container. So variable acts as a container. So as again, if I have to give a real world example, a container is nothing but which is used for storing something, right? So a variable is also similar for storing your data in case of scripting. Okay. So for example, I have containers like my wardrobe. Then we have containers, food containers where we store food like sugar. Then we have a refrigerator which also acts as a container for storing things which actually need to be require very low temperature. So these are all containers, right? So similar to that, in JavaScript as well, we have containers to store data. Okay, and that container is called as variable. If I have to give a definition for variable, variable is nothing but a container to store data inside it. Okay, and how do we write variable in JavaScript is simply by using the keyword var. Var is your variable. Okay, now again, each variable have its own name. Now, since I gave you an example of wardrobe and refrigerator for storing things, they act like a container, right? So now wardrobe have its own name. We don't tell that this is a container for storing clothes or this is a container for storing food stuff. or this is a container for storing something else. We doesn't address like this, right? What we tell is, we tell this is wardrobe for storing clothes, or this is refrigerator for storing food items, isn't it? So every container has its own name. Similarly, variable is a container, and here in this case, and every variable also have names. So if we have names for variables. For example, if I have to give an example uh, for this variable, I will write the same thing. For example, I'll write wardrobe. So wardrobe is my container in this case. So wardrobe is a variable here. Okay. So I'm going to write var wardrobe. So this is variable wardrobe in case of JavaScript. And as we know, variables are used for storing things. It acts as a container. So currently, if you see, there's nothing in my variable. Okay, it's simply empty. So simply giving a name to a variable is called as variable declaration. Okay, and for example, now I have to store something in my variable. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to store over here something like, for example, clothes inside that. Okay, so I'm going to store a string value over here, and that is going to be clothes. Okay, and this is how I'm going to store inside it. Okay, so what I've done is I have assigned a string value to my wardrobe. Okay, so now whatever I've written, whatever I've assigned to my variable, it will get stored in that variable. Now, instead of this hello everyone, what I'm going to do is I'm going to print, or I'm going to write wardrobe in this alert. Okay, so let's see what get displayed in your browser window. So now if I refresh it, here we go. Clothes are displayed in your pop-up or in your alert method, right? And I can say that this thing, the wardrobe didn't got displayed as it is because it's just for storing, right? The variables are just for storing it. It doesn't get displayed as it is, but whatever you have stored inside that get displayed. Okay. Now instead of clothes, I can also write over here any number. For example, I write 55. And if I save it and I go and refresh it, let's see what happens. 55 is getting displayed over here. Okay. Now I can also do any sort of addition or multiplication or any sort of operation over here, and that will also get displayed. For example, I've did addition over there, and it has given the results of me over here. So what it has done is actually it has done the addition, and it has stored the value in this particular variable, and then we are giving it to alert, right? And that's why there in the browser, the sum of this particular number is been displayed, right? So this is how it is working. Okay. Now the assignment, or the things which we have assigned to this variable is actually your data, right? What we are storing in the variables is data, simply. So data can be of any type. Okay, it can be of any type. I have, as this just we have seen that it was numeric and it was also string. Before some time I wrote clothes, and that was a string value, right, which was consisting alphabets in it. And now I'm writing numbers, so this is numeric value. So data can be of any type. It can be numeric or it can be string. In So the second important thing in JavaScript is the data types. So data types in JavaScript is actually of a major of, we can say, three types, and then we also have other data types like null and undefined. So I'll tell you that. So the major data types which we usually use in JavaScript is a numeric. Your numeric data type is simply the numbers which you can see, and the numbers can be float, decimal, and your normal numbers as well. Okay, integers as well. So it can be any sort of numbers which will come under numeric data type. So currently which you are seeing is a numeric data type which we have given to the variable, okay, which we have stored. So this data is of type numeric. Then before this we have seen that we applied clothes, right? We have assigned clothes to this particular variable. So clothes is a string data type because it's not a number, right? So we have another data type, and that is string data type. Okay, and then we also have boolean data type. For example, if I have to write a boolean means true or false. If in future when we'll be working more on this, we'll get scenarios where will need to check, okay, by giving a condition that whether this thing will work or not. And if it is work, that means we have to written true, or if it doesn't work, then we have to written false. So for that we have boolean type of data type. Okay, so boolean is also a type in JavaScript. Okay, and beside this we have null data type and undefined data type. Null means simply null, there's nothing inside that, and undefined means, for example, if instead of writing anything or inside this for row, I will simply print it as it is after the declaration of this variable. So what will happen? Let's see. If I refresh it, it's going to give me undefined because you have not defined your variable. Okay, defining a variable means giving some value to that. Now since I have defined it by value true, which is a boolean data type, it's going to show me true over here. Let's see, true, right? Because I've given some value to it. So this is nothing but variable definition, or you can say variable initialization. Okay, this is called as variable initialization and or definition, and that is variable declaration, where we actually simply declare and we don't assign any sort of values to our variables. Clear? So this is your data types and variables. Now with this, there are other important things, and that is so objects as well. So object is also one of the data types which we will be seeing further when we will be specifically dealing with objects in JavaScript. Okay, and whatever we have seen now, these are called as primitive data types: number, string, boolean, null, and undefined. So these are primitive data types, and composite is your object. And variables, as I told you, are containers, and data types are converted automatically as needed during the script execution. So this is actually one of the very important feature of JavaScript, we can see. Now, in case of other languages like C# or Java, okay, we don't we have to specifically tell that what type of variable it is. For example, this is a wardrobe, and if I'm storing over here a string, I have to specifically tell that this is string only. Nothing else can be stored inside this instead of a string. You can't store a number or you can't store a boolean value inside it. Similarly, if I write integer over here, that means you have to store integer values inside this. You can't store any float or decimal values as well. You cannot store any string or anything else apart from integer. So this is how your normal other languages work. But in case of JavaScript, you simply have to write var, and this var can take any kind of your data type, okay, as and when you will be proceeding. For example, initially I wrote to a boolean over here, and then further I go and again I change, I write something else in my variable. For example, I write some string value. So it will take the string value because it is the last assigned value to this variable. Okay, so if I save it and if I run it over here, you will see now what gets displayed over here. Now it is true, and now it will be the string which we have passed. This is because what happens is it will start executing from here. First it will declare the variable, right, and after that declaring the variable, it will assign this true value to this wardrobe, right? But after that, again further when it moves, it gets the another value which is a string which is stored in this variable. So it will simply print the last value which is stored in your variable, right? So here it has not seen that which type of variable it is, whether it is a string, whether it is an integer, whether it is a boolean. It has not seen that. As and when you proceed with the variables and you give any sort of value, it will automatically understand that what value it is. So this particular variable have understood that this is string value, and it initializes, or it makes itself as a string. Here it makes itself as a boolean. So this is a very important feature of your JavaScript backend. Okay. Now the other thing in variable is that variables is not only defined or is not only used by giving keyword var, but beside that we also have keyword let and const. Okay, so we will see same thing with this let as well. So there's no difference. This is simply again a keyword for declaring variables. So let is a keyword and this is also a variable. So if I write let over here, the same thing is going to happen without any change. So if I go and if I execute it, let's see what gets displayed. So the same thing is going to get displayed. So this is also a variable, and it is also used for storing things, storing data. Okay, but there is some sort of difference between let, var, and const, and that's why there are three different, right? If var is also doing the same thing and let is also doing the same thing, then why there's a need of writing? Why there's a need of having two different variable keywords, right? We can have any one, maybe var or let. Then why there is need of two? This is because let is specifically targeting the scope where you're writing, okay? And outside the scope, the let works something differently. And how it is, we will see it. But before that, I want to tell you about const. Const is also a keyword which is used for storing data. Okay, this is also a variable. But the difference between const and this var and let is that const allows you to store only one value at a time. You will not be able to change your value after going further. For example, in this case, we have written let wardrobe, and after declaring, we have given a definition to that, means we have initialized it with the value true, and which is a boolean. And later on, we again give a string to the same variable, right? But if we consider const in this scenario, this const variable will not allow you to change your values when you move further. For example, if I write over here const, let's see what happens. So nothing is getting displayed because it is giving you an error, and that error is missing initializer in const declaration. So whenever you are using const variable or const keyword, you have to remember that you have to declare and define it at a time. You cannot define it after declaring it. Okay, so whenever you are declaring your variable const, you have to give value there and there itself. So for example, if I give over here some value, like again some string value, if I write string only over here. So let's see now what happens. It's again giving me the same value. It's again giving me error, but the error is not same, it's different. And the error is assignment to const variable at this line, that is line number 16. And if I go and check my line number 16, you will understand that it is not allowing, since I have again assigned my this variable with another value, it is not working properly, and it is throwing an error saying that you have again assigned the constant variable at this line. So you don't have to assign it again and again, because this is a constant variable. You can only give value at a time, and that also when you're declaring it, then only at that time only you have to give the definition as well. Means at that time only you have to store the value as well. So if I just remove this, then let's see what happens. If I save it, yeah, now it perfectly works fine, because you have not again changed its value to something else, right? So this is the use of const. So many times when we'll be working further, there will be some sort of scenarios where you will require some data to be kept constant, and you don't want to change them anywhere in your program further. And that time you'll be making use of the keyword const or the variable const instead of var or let. Okay, this was about const keyword. Now we will see the difference between var and let keyword or let variable. So currently I'm having a variable wardrobe declare, and I've assigned a string value to it, and over here string will get displayed. Okay, now what I'll do is I'll make use of let keyword, and let keyword are specifically targeted to block level scope. Okay, means they are having block level scope. But what do you mean by block level scope is that, for example, when we'll be seeing functions and loops and conditional statements, then in that cases we use block, right? Like everything is written inside a curly brackets, and this curly bracket represents blocks. For example, I simply put curly bracket now over here, and I write over here let wardrobe. Instead of var, I'll be using let, and I'll give the same name of variable wardrobe is equal to, and I'm going to put over here something else, that is clothes. Okay, and now I'll be printing this alert wardrobe over here, so inside this block. So what do you think will get displayed? Whether string will get displayed in the alert or clothes will get displayed? What do you think? If I go and refresh it, clothes is getting displayed, and this is because it has taken this value, because let is in the scope, means it is accessible in the block itself, so it is having the scope within the block. Okay, so for example, if I'm again removing this and I'm putting it over here, and what do you think will get displayed? floats or string. So let's see. What get displayed is string, and this is because it is taking this value and not this, because this let keyword is only targeting inside a block. It is having the scope or its life inside the block itself. Once the block is getting ended, there is no use of this keyword, okay, and this thing will not be used any further. So what will be used is this particular variables which are written using var keyword. So this is used for global purpose, and this is for local within the block, right? Okay, so this was var and let keyword. Okay, so there are some rules for writing variable names, and those are that it cannot start with a number. Whenever you're writing a variable name, it doesn't have to start with a number. It can't start with a number, okay? It will not take a variable with starting with a number. It can start with a letter, with the underscore, or with a dollar sign, okay? And it is case sensitive. So we'll see this one by one. If, for example, if I'm writing here 1, 2, 3, it is not going to take my variable name as a number, okay? Or if I'm writing over here as well, it will not allow me to take a number as the name of a variable, okay? But instead of that, if I put underscore, it will easily allow me to consider this as a variable name, okay? Or if I write dollar before this, it will easily allow me to take it as a name or any alphabet, okay? So this is something we have to keep in mind when we are writing variables. And JavaScript is case sensitive. So whatever you write in JavaScript, the variables which you define in JavaScript is case sensitive. For example, I'm writing, for example, I'll remove this and I'll write, for example, str, okay? And then I'm going to print over here the same thing, but instead of capital, if I put str as small, then let's see what will happen. If I go and check over here, if I refresh the page, it's going to give me an error saying that str is not defined because it is not getting str anywhere. We have written str, but here str is capital, S is capital, and over here where we have given it inside the alert, it is small, and that's why this particular thing is not finding str, okay, because it is case sensitive. So if you are writing it in capital, your variables, you have to write throughout the program in capital only. So if I do here capital S, then it will easily find. Let's see. Here we go, right? So it has printed the value if it is in the correct way, right? So that's why it is case sensitive. Okay, now with the end of this video, I want to tell you about one more thing, and that is about comments. So JavaScript do have comments. As you can see, I have given over here a comment. So comments in JavaScript is given by writing these 2 slashes, okay? By giving these 2 slashes and writing anything in front of this is going to be considered as a comment and a single line comment. In case you have to write a multi-line comment, more than one comment, then you are going to use slash star and same thing over here, star slash, okay? So this is used for multi-line comment, and this 2 slashes are used for single line comments. So this is how comments are given in JavaScript, okay? Fine. So this was very basic things which one should know before starting with scripting. That is the variable declaration, variable definition, then your data types, what are different types of data in JavaScript, and the differences between them, right? Okay, in the coming videos, we'll be learning more about JavaScript scripting. Thank you. Bye.